to help out with that social distancing in multiple ways. So showing home inspection best practice. So what is COVID-19? How's it transmitted? Health issues associated with it, occupational hazards, best practice for agents and inspectors for showing and inspections. And then we'll talk about buyers and sellers. And obviously some of it is a little bit repetitive. So what is COVID-19? COVID-19 is a coronavirus disease. It's a respiratory illness that can spread from person to person. The virus that caused COVID-19 is novel coronavirus that was identified in Wuhan, China. In my research, I found out that the corona, that came from the name, like if you look at the little red things on it, it's like a crown or corona. I think that's some other language, but that's where the name coronavirus comes from. And I think it's actually that SARS-2 something or another. But anyway, it came from China. You know, I don't know about the eating bats and all that stuff. I've heard all kinds of stuff, but I cannot, what's the military thing? I cannot confirm nor deny that, but I can confirm it came from. Okay, how does COVID-19 spread? By touching a surface or object that has the virus on it, and then by touching your nose, mouth, or possibly your eyes. That's where it's really dangerous, because this object, it can stay on surfaces 48 to 72 hours, depending on what type of surface it is. So that's really dangerous, because most other things don't last that long. I know Terry said that his wife had it, and all of our prayers are with him. I know that I've gotten the flu several times over the years, and my wife didn't even get it. So I know I don't think that's I'm not a scientist, but that can't be as contagious as this coronavirus is. So touching surfaces, people who are in close contact with one another, less than 6 feet, obviously, because when you talk, you have vapor. If you ever talk to somebody and you accidentally kind of spit on them or something, you actually do that in micro things all the time, and they do it to you, and you don't realize it. It's funny, after all this is over, I don't know that we'll ever be the same. We may never shake hands again. But obviously you don't want to be within 6 foot, because that coronavirus can travel on that vapor. The respiratory droplets produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes. So what are the big 3 symptoms of COVID-19? Fever, cough, and shortness of breath. I, like a lot of people, have allergies, which causes me to cough. But, oh, good Lord, when I'm in the grocery store or something, I'm like, please don't cough, because I know that as soon as I cough, people are going to be like, oh! But fortunately, I haven't had the other 2 symptoms. The symptoms can appear 2 to 14 days after exposure, based on the incubation period. But obviously, the most dangerous thing about this, to me, besides the fact that it can stay on surfaces 48 to 72 hours, is the fact that people can be infected and not know they're infected and spread it, the ones who are asymptomatic or whatever. I'm hoping that someday there's like a test that anybody could tell. So, you wouldn't put others in danger, and they wouldn't put you in danger unknowingly. CDC recommends social distancing to help, slow the spread of COVID-19. The object of social distancing is to reduce the probability of contact between persons carrying an infection and others who are not infected, to minimize disease transmission. For you guys who took the InterNACHI course, the occupational hazard, there's different hazard levels of every job, but there's a hazard to everybody. I mean, you can get it from pumping gas today. Somebody could have touched that gas pump or that, the little hand thing to put in their credit card. But the people who have the most occupational hazard, this is probably going to look familiar to you guys. The very high at the top of the pyramid are healthcare workers. Healthcare workers and funeral home workers, which ironically was what my father was. He's passed a couple of years ago. But the second highest occupational hazard, let me admit these people in the waiting room. The second highest people are support staff for healthcare. So this would include people, that work in the hospital, but maybe not, maybe not a doctor or nurse or a physician's assistant with direct contact, but they are working, at the desk or something like that, and they're in contact with them. Somebody may have it and be asymptomatic. They're at a high risk or occupational hazard. A medium risk person is somebody whose job they cannot, because of the nature of their job, they can't always social distance all the time. This would be somebody who's working a counter at the grocery store or the drive-through. I really feel bad for those people. I had to get groceries, and this poor kid, I'm like, I'm talking to him, says, well, has it been crazy in here? And he's like, I don't know, it's my first day. And I'm like, oh I'm like, man, be careful. And I gave him some hand sanitizer because I've got some in, and I said, man, use this, every time after every transaction, use this. So anyway, you guys are probably familiar with that. And again, keep in mind that you would be giving this presentation to realtors, and some of them would know all this already, and some would. How to keep from spreading the virus. Stay at home when you're sick, cough or sneeze with a tissue, and then throw the tissue into the trash. Clean and disinfect it frequently touched objects and surfaces. And obviously there's no vaccine right now to protect against COVID-19. Really hoping that I'm sure we're all hoping that they come up with one. I'm sure we were all hoping that we would wake up this morning and this would just be one bad, elaborate April Fool's joke. Unfortunately, it's not. So how can we continue to do business? Use technology. If there is something that is good that comes out of all this, I think it's going to force all of us and all of our clients to get better with technology. And I think even after this thing's over, you're going to see a lot more virtual inspection reviews and things like that. And that's what I'm going to talk about. Now, obviously, a little plug here, but this is kind of cool. If you guys got your phone, so you can do the virtual tours. Anybody seen those Matterport camera things? If you want to see a really good one, so what happened is, you can connect this to that thing that Dave and I do. So if you text info28 to this number, it'll send you a link to the virtual tour of this house. And you can go in there and you can actually walk through that house just like you're there. You can turn around. It shows you like a dollhouse view of the house. It's really cool. In our county, basically, I think kind of like what Terry said, they said that home inspection is essential. Realtors are essential, but they can't show. They cannot show. So they're going to have to sell virtually. So virtual tours, virtual tours may be combined with an inspection and warranties. But houses are still selling, just a lot slower. But that's an idea. I recommend you give that a shot. If documents like a home inspection report or an offer to purchase and sell, any kind of document you need to go over, recommend using Zoom, what we're using right now, mainly because there's that share screen feature on it. You don't have that, to my knowledge, with FaceTime. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Three-way phone conferences between the buyer and realtor. To my knowledge, almost all phones now, even my Android, I can call somebody, call somebody else and then merge the calls. I was able to do that with an iPhone, so you can still do that. That's a good way to do it. And I know you guys are probably offering virtual inspection reviews. That's what we're offering, either via Zoom, we'll go through the report, or just with phone. We'll just go over it line by line with phone. Let me admit some more people there. I wish I would not have done that waiting room thing. All right, Zoom meetings. By a show of hands, how many of you guys have done a Zoom meeting on your own? Have you set one up? It's really easy. It's really easy. And if you don't have Zoom, I recommend you go get it. Even the free one, the free one's cool. It just has a limit of 40 minutes, and there's a limit on the participants. I'm not sure. It may be 100 or something, but that's what mine is. But there's no limit to it. But I told all my guys. Fortunately, we've been doing Zoom meetings for a while. But I tell all my guys, and I tell everybody in a real estate meeting, go get Zoom, go play with it, because it's great for business, but it's also great for personal. My wife, if anybody knows me, my wife back in early January donated 60% of her liver to her mother. They had a liver transplant. Fortunately, they're both out of the hospital and they're doing well, but both of them obviously are in that high risk category. So they definitely can't leave the house. So, and on top of that, Meg's sister just had a baby 3 weeks ago. So in our family, and none of us can get together, but you know what we've done? We've done Zooms every other night. And it's awesome. I mean, Grammy gets to see the baby, and it's really cool. So I definitely recommend you get Zoom and play with it, and do it with your family. And it's kind of a win-win, because if you play with it and learn it with your family and learn the things, you'll also learn how to do it with business and how to share screen and things like that. But this is obviously Zoom. But first I want to talk about if you just wanted a down and dirty. Now remember, I'm talking to realtors here. If you just wanted a down and dirty video, well, I don't want to say down and dirty and video in the same sentence. That doesn't seem good. Let's say quick instead of dirty. Just a quick video conference with somebody. Now, obviously, everybody who has iPhones are familiar with FaceTime. You probably do it with your kids and all that, and it's great. I used to have an iPhone. Unfortunately, if you have an Android, you can't do FaceTime, because FaceTime is proprietary to Apple. So what do you do if one or more of the people has an Android? And now I have an Android, and my guys, half of them have Android, half of them have iPhone, and so do the realtors. So if they're out looking at a house and they want to see something, what do you do? How are you going to do FaceTime with two different phones, or if both people have an Android? Well, there's lots of options, but the best one that I found when I did research is Facebook Messenger. Almost everybody already has Facebook. There's other things you can do, WhatsApp, Google Duo, a couple others, but that's going to involve somebody downloading an app that they don't have and kind of having to learn it. Most everybody has Facebook. So I'm just going to pick on Tony because I know Tony. I can go to Tony's Facebook on his profile, click on message, and he'll pop up here and on the messenger, and I would click on that thing there with the little camera. And if Tony answers, we're FaceTiming through Facebook Messenger. Now, probably what I would do beforehand, if Tony was a client, I would text him ahead of time what's coming. Hey, man, I'm getting ready to text you, because if you don't know what that is, I've gotten one or two of those, and I'm thinking some dude from Russia or Kenya or somewhere. I'm not answering that. I don't know who that is. But if the person I know texts me and say, "Hey, I'm getting ready to answer this Facebook Messenger," but it's a really cool thing. And by the way, they don't have to be your friend. That was my big thing. I was like, well, what if they're not on your friends list? If I want to video, do a quick FaceTime video with a client or a realtor, but they're not on my friend, you don't have to be. I had my wife unfriend me because we wanted to test it and see, and it still works. They do not have to be your friend. So I highly recommend FaceTime. If both people have the Apple, that'll be my first choice. But if either or more of the people have an Android, Facebook Messenger works great. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Zoom. Zoom's a little bit more formal, but it has more features. So if you're just having a face-to-face conversation real quick, not really planned, just sort of, I would go for the Facebook Messenger. But if you want something a little more formal with what we're doing tonight, or you're going over an inspection report, I would recommend Zoom. So, when you go on Zoom, this is Meg and I, and this will be a review for some people. Basically, you go around the bottom, and you may be able to right now on your screen roll down to the bottom, and when you roll down to the bottom, see if this pops up. The one in the middle will be share screen. Don't do it though. Don't do it. To the right of that's chat, you know, and you can have a chat going during the thing. You know, the number of participants, invite, and all that sort of stuff. Let me see if I got more people in this. Okay, yeah, we got a chat going now. But anyway, but you want to do the share screen. And when you go to share screen, what'll happen is, you know, all your screens will pop up. I really hope I wasn't looking at anything like Barstool Sports or anything this time. That would be kind of embarrassing. But I want to go to the screen that's going to have my presentation or my inspection report. You know, and I'm just going to thumb through the inspection report and go through it with the client with that share screen. And you highlight the one you want, and then you go right over here and click share. And then, you know, you go back, and if you go up to the very top, you hit the stop share, and it'll go back to where, you know, you've got all the people like the Brady Bunch. And, you know, if you go up there and toggle, you can do speaker view or the other. So whoever's talking, it'll be them on the big screen, or if you toggle back to the other one, it's everybody. When I'm not doing share screen. But anyway, I like to go over this for the realtors because some of them know Zoom, but some of them don't. So best showing and inspection practices, to avoid touching anything that you don't need to, since the virus can live on surfaces for several hours. If you must touch something, wipe the surface before and after touching it with disinfectant wipes or alcohol-soaked cloth. Make sure you don't touch your face until you either wash your hands with warm soapy water for 20 seconds or use hand sanitizer that is at least 65% alcohol. We're also sending out an email telling them if they would to the seller to open up all the cabinets, the electrical panel, as many things as they can. So the less things we can touch, the better. We're recommending that the people don't be there and recommending that the buyer, we haven't gone so strong as banning them yet. I know some people have. And the tough thing right now is asking the sellers not to be there. Well, they're quarantined too. So the way I've been looking at it is really when we need them out of there is that time when we're in the interior. You know, if you think about the anatomy of a home inspection, you got the exterior, you got the roof, the attic, the interior, and the crawl space. Out of all of those, the one that really worries me is the interior. I doubt anybody's been up on their roof or in their crawl space or in their attic in the last 72 hours. They may have been, but I don't feel like, I mean, it's danger there. So if the people are quarantined there, I would love for them to go for a walk or take the dog or go to the park if it's open or something. But especially while I'm doing that interior, you know, if they can't stay gone for 2-3 hours, at least stay gone for 30 or 40 minutes while I'm in the interior. It's for their safety and the inspection. And always frame that it's for your safety too. I mean, I could be asymptomatic. You don't know where I've been. I mean, you know, so anyway, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit. Let's go on to the next slide. Obviously, this is just, you know, you kind of know this, the things to avoid. They're all closed now. Restaurants, movie theaters, gyms, parties, play dates, sporting events. Pretty much all that's closed. You can't do that anywhere anyway. Just be cautious, though, if you're going to the grocery store or the pharmacy, take out food, because, again, if they have it, they could be asymptomatic, not know it, and they could put it on your to-go food or that latte that they hand you. As soon as I get something like that, I immediately take my alcohol-filled cloth and wipe it. I did run out of rubbing alcohol, but I've started using the Everclear. I just hope I don't get the police. I don't know if you guys saw my post, but the rubbing alcohol is 70% alcohol. The Everclear is 75% alcohol. And I had them side by side. They smell the exact same. I'm like, oh my God, I used to drink this in college. Oh, my poor liver. Good thing it was just college. But anyway, it will work if you run out of rubbing alcohol. Obviously, you know, other things as long as you keep the 6. But I don't know about you guys. They're closing all our parks and trails now because I guess some people aren't following the rules or something. It kind of makes me mad, though. I'm like, well, why don't you just police those people and bust? I mean, they're like playing basketball games and stuff. I'm like, why don't you take the damn basketball goal down, dummies? Sorry, a little bit preachy here. I'm like, you're closing it, and most of the people are following the rules. But anyway, I digress. I can be opinionated at times. So steps that all inspectors and realtors can take to reduce the risk of SARS-CoV-2, which is COVID-19. There are basic steps every home inspector and realtor can take to reduce their risk and their buyers and sellers' risk in the housing is a house being inspected or shown. If you choose to do that, some people are, some people aren't. And I don't know about you guys, but there's also a fierce debate going down between realtors too. I'm in a lot of realtor groups, and there's, like we said, that scale. There's some people that are like yelling at other realtors and saying that, you know, you shouldn't be doing anything. And then there's some realtors that are, it's worse than the home inspectors. I didn't think that was possible. But anyway, I digress. I probably wouldn't mention that if I was presenting this to realtors. Daily best practices, you know, obviously wash hands, you know, 20 seconds. Somebody said if you say the Lord's Prayer or something, whatever, it equals 20 seconds with hot soapy water. If you must cough, cough into your elbow. Try not to rub your face. Obviously, keep the 6 foot. No handshake. Stay at home if you can. Did you guys know that the handshake originated years and years ago? It was a way to show when you met somebody that you didn't have a weapon. That was the whole purpose of a handshake, was to show the other person that you didn't have a weapon. Each person to show the other person you didn't have a weapon. Unfortunately, now we do have a weapon. You just can't see it. It's called COVID-19. Sorry, I didn't mean it like that, but it's dangerous now, where before a handshake was meant to show that you weren't dangerous. So precautions for sellers: sanitize surfaces following each inspection. I tell my guys, whatever they got to touch, sanitize it before and after, because you don't know who touched it before you, and after you touch it, you could be asymptomatic. I hope not, but you know, you don't want to, you know, give it to somebody else. They're using wipes or alcohol-soaked rags or the alcohol spray. I think that actually works pretty well, and the alcohol will evaporate. Leave access doors. So if the sellers could leave access doors such as cabinets, entry doors to you know, closets, electrical panels, anything that so the inspector doesn't have to touch, that would help. Provide hand soap and hand sanitizer to visitors and leave at the entry. Postpone inspections if sellers show any signs or symptoms related to COVID-19, and maintain social distancing. And obviously, I always tell them, I'm not going to go over my pictures at the inspection report. You know, in the old days, 3 weeks ago, you know, we would show the pictures on the computer and they would be right over our shoulder and we would explain everything we found. You just can't do that now and keep the social distance. So what we're going to do is a virtual, you know, I can give you the highlights from 6 feet away just verbally, but, you know, I'm going to call you, or let's have a Zoom meeting later. And I don't know, honey. Can't you go on the other one? Yeah. My wife scheduled another Zoom meeting for her family. All right, 8:30. 8:30. All right, I'll try to end it by 8:30 because she's got to do one of the things. Sorry. But anyway, postpone the inspection if anybody's showing signs, and obviously social distance. For inspectors. Now, some of these overlap, obviously. Wash hands before, after, and during the inspection. Wear gloves to perform the inspection. No shaking of hands. Social distancing. Not like I haven't said that already. Limit reviews after the inspection to provide detailed reports. Provide virtual reviews and discussion on site or after the report is received. I'm talking to you guys, and I would say the same thing to realtors. If you don't have Zoom, get it tonight. Go download the free version, play with it. Have a Zoom meeting with some people, you know, family members, learn how to use it, and then you can use it with your inspection reports, going over the reports with clients. Now, again, the free one's only limited to 40 minutes, but, you know, that could be a good thing with some clients. Oh, sorry, got to go. In conclusion, use virtual technology when possible. We can go over the report finding by Zoom or by phone. I do realize that, you know, a lot of people aren't technological and don't want to be technological, but, you know, the phone, they're pretty good with it. So, you know, we've done several where we're like, all right, you pull up the report and I'll pull up the report, and I'll get on the phone with you, and I'll just go with it and tell you what number I'm on, or you tell me what number you're on and ask me any questions you want. All right. Obviously if somebody's sick, again, 6 foot. Wash hands for 20 seconds or use alcohol at 65, or hand sanitizer that's at least 65% alcohol, or rubbing alcohol. I told some people on the call earlier that, you know, my guys are just spraying alcohol, and they basically, when they show up to the inspection, they take out all their equipment on the driveway and they spray it down with rubbing alcohol, and then they spray it when they get when they use the spray. They actually put that on their belt, and they spray anything that they have to touch before and after. Just not taking any chances. Don't touch any surfaces unless it's absolutely necessary. And that's it. So this is what I've gone over. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I'm shopping this and a radon presentation around. So what I figured out was, because I'm on a bunch of realtor things, and the realtors are really pushing their realtors to sharpen the saw, you know, that Stephen Covey thing, to get as much education as you can. So I think the new lunch and learn is going to be a Zoom and learn. So if you can provide that, and, you know, I felt like this was a timely topic. You know, I also have a radon one that I'm kind of shopping around right now. And I'll give you that, guys, that letter and everything. But I've done this one 5 times now. So it's pretty cool. And I'll give it to you guys. Obviously, you'll want to edit it and put your logo and everything in it. And you may want to change a couple of things. But it's been pretty well received. Just, put all the disclaimers on it. You're not advocating, those people are hardcore saying you shouldn't be doing anything. Say, if you choose, this is an option. So I'm going to stop the screen share and open it up to you guys. Any questions or anything? You can unmute yourself.
Hey, Preston. This morning we did a Zoom call with Keller Williams office. Probably had anywhere between 15 and 30 agents that showed up, and basically we didn't do it. We didn't have a PowerPoint. We didn't need one, but they really just wanted to know what our procedures were, how we're handling stuff. You can reach out to your various offices. They're all looking for content right now, Zoom content, because they think it's a cool thing. So reach out, talk to them about it. The second thing is, I'm not sure if it was posted on top or somewhere else, but I printed up a form last night that I think they're using in California for buyers, sellers, agents, inspectors, and they all have to sign off on the fact that they don't have a temperature over 100.4, that they're not sick, that they haven't been around someone who has the virus. And I'm not sure, is that, Marco, is that a required form now, or is that just an optional?
No, as of right now, we've been having in every single one of those inspections. They send it over to us. I don't know if it's a requirement, but they send it over. And that's a good thing because they send us also the copy of the seller and the copy from the buyer, that they sign it and let us know that no one is sick. So that's a way to communication. And another thing about the Keller Williams, actually yesterday we did the broker from Keller Williams, he set up a meeting, a Zoom meeting with all the vendors, and to ask question and answers, and it was for an hour and a half. Actually, it was pretty good. And now they sent me a text message this morning that they want us, the realtors, they want us to do the same thing every week to be able to figure out how we can work all together and about the inspection, the loans, the title, and everything, put everything together. That way, ask everybody else's questions that they have. And actually, that's pretty good. And actually, I got another invitation for another office, Keller Williams. They want to do the same thing too, because
we're going to probably, I don't know if our association is going to do it, but I'm assuming we're all going to have more paperwork to do now on these inspections with those COVID-19 forms.
I just added an attachment into each inspections, and that's it.
I think it was posted with somebody in top though. That's where I think I got it. But if not, It's a California form through their Association of Realtors.